Well, hi, hello, I'm Matt or Matthew Harris. I'm originally from Divide, Colorado, a small town on the backside of Pikes Peak, and I now reside here in Gunnison, Colorado, a bit of cold little valley. I am 22 years old right now. Yeah, I'm going to Western Colorado University. I graduated out of Environment and Sustainability, and I am finishing my master's degree in ecology currently. Yeah, so I have had a plethora of injuries over the last few years. I'm a freeride skier here for the Western Mountain Sports Team, and my freshman year I ended up tearing my ACL competing in the Crested Butte freeride competition on head wall. After tearing that, I recovered and then came back to strength, had another competition season, and then sadly last year I re-tore my ACL. In doing that, I also ended up tearing my meniscus and my MCL, and I broke my tibial plateau. So the first injury occurred when I was competing on head wall. I ended up taking an air and I front punched the very bottom of traverse track called Tina that's kind of infamous on the head wall, and did a tomahawk there. My skis didn't eject and I ended up just blowing the ACL out. I didn't even know it at the time. There's no real pain, so I continued on. And then this last season, I was just skiing around real early in the year. It was just December, and I ended up landing one jump, and I had a funky pop. It kind of just came out of nowhere. It was really painful, but I skied away. Like, I didn't crash, nothing, and I continued skiing. And then I didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, that was just kind of weird. Let's suss out my knee and continue to feel it. Skied throughout the rest of the day. Ended up taking an air later in that day where I landed kind of back-seated, and it kicked me, and I did end up crashing. And in that one, I heard there was this huge smack. And what I found out later is that without an ACL, you no longer, of course, have stability in your knee, and it allows your tibia to hit your fibia. And I ended up smashing those bones together, which tore my meniscus and MCL, and I broke my tibial plateau. And that threw me to the ground for sure. The pain in the first one, nothing. I mean, I had just tomahawked like 100-something feet, so I got up and I was like, whoa, oh my god, what are we gonna do? Didn't really feel anything, but the pain in the second one was really distinct. So when I had already torn the ACL in that little pop, but when my bones actually smacked together and I broke that tibial plateau, it was visceral. It was just like, I heard the concussive force of the bones hitting each other. I laid on the ground there and I instantly knew. It's just like kind of like shock and regret all at the same time, you know. I was like, oh man, I did this again. I'm sitting here, my knees just pulsing. I did ski away. I skied down to the base area again, but yeah, like a pounding pain just right in the joint. Yeah, so the ACL recovery is a really, really long time, and especially in this last surgery. So the traditional ACL recovery is about 9 months, but in this last one, because I had already had an ACL repair before, I had the holes in my bone in which the screws that mount the new ACL go were too large for me to get a second placement in those same holes. And so my first surgery happened in January 9th or 11th, and I had to get my bone refilled with some bone that would harden over the next 4 months. So that was the first part of my recovery, was one surgery, 4 months of waiting for the bone to solidify. And then the second surgery occurred May 9th, where I actually went and got a new ACL graft, taking my quad tendon from my other leg, from my right leg, and grafting it into my left, re-drilling those bones, the same process there. And so in total, my recovery from getting injured to time back to skiing will be 13 months in this recovery, so just an absolutely crazy long time. But since my last surgery, I have been I was pretty sedentary for about a month and a half, not really able to walk as normal, on crutches all of the time, really not able to move. Then, you know, that next month and a half all the way up to 3 months was like pretty shabby motion. You know, I'm not really getting around well. I'm still using one crutch at least most of the time. And then after 3 months is when you start to move a little bit more as normal, but you're really not back to moving as you traditionally would until beyond 6 months in that recovery process, which I just hit a week ago. So the healing process is pretty intensive with an ACL, and the main reason for that is the ACL doesn't really get much blood flow. That's why it takes so long. And so PT is really, really critical. I've gone to multiple physical therapists here in the Valley. Emma and Dave were my original physical therapists for my first recovery, and the second, sadly, their shop got shut down, and so I had to transition. I now go to Gunnison Valley Health. I see a physician there named Stacy, and so yeah, I do physical therapy every single day. whether that's stretching. The beginning of your physical therapy is really basic, just, oh, can I lift my leg, starting to bend it, like some really basic motion. And now here, past 6 months, I'm doing complex plyometrics, and so I'm actually full sprinting again. I'm running, I'm jumping, doing box jumps, doing rotations, putting the type of torque on my knee that it will traditionally see, but I haven't been allowed to until this period. And so, yeah, really intensive physical therapy regime for about 6 months. And I see my therapist. In the beginning, I would see them multiple times a week. After the first month, I would see them about every week. And then after 3 months, I started seeing them about every 2 weeks. And so each time I would return to the physical therapist, I get a new set of workouts and continue to progress. The first month is really where you see like all of the atrophy, right? Like you are absolutely beat. You're not really able to do anything besides slightly lift your leg off the couch and really start moving some things around. And so your surgical leg, which in my case actually happened to be both of my legs, which was a pretty crazy experience. I definitely had lost a lot of muscle on the left side especially, and so I really started to see some like minor strength gains from basic PT around 3 months, and that's when I was really able to transition into getting on my bike, not at a really minimal fashion. I actually did spin bike in my house for quite a while, and then I got to the point where I could bike on really flat trails, and what that allowed me was just some rotary motion, which for me was really important to break up the scar tissue. I have so much scar tissue in this joint from having 3 surgeries on it, and so getting that rotary repetitive motion where I'm able to just let that thing move continually, it broke up that scar tissue and really helped me start to strengthen. And then I would say in terms of like actually seeing tangible big time results again in terms of strength that I'm confident in, it hasn't been until the last few weeks, and now that I'm hitting the 6 month mark, I'm lifting really heavy again, deadlifts, squats, etc., right? Jumping, running around, and I'm actually like, okay, I can tangibly feel myself getting strong to the point I was before. It's really diverse. I guess I'll go with what I'm doing in the modern sense, because obviously this really hinges on what stage of recovery you're at. Now being at 6 months, I kind of have the full breadth and scope of my ability to do workouts, and so I go between strength and plyometric daily. And so when I'm in the gym doing strength, I'll be doing RDLs, I'll be doing deadlifts, I'll be doing squats, leg press on the machine, etc. And then a bunch of kind of lightweight other motions. I do a lot of stuff on the Bosu ball, and so balance ball. I'll do a lot of weighted workouts on there that really help with balance as well. And then for my plyometric days, that is a lot of strength or a lot of agility focus, right? So I'm running, I'm skipping, I'm doing karaoke, I'm doing box jumps, I'm doing ladder drills, etc. All sorts of things to really get those fast twitch muscle fibers working again, and also get the connection back with my brain. That was one really big thing I noticed early on in this injury. Is it's like, okay, this knee has gone through some really major trauma, and finding that mind-body connection again to know exactly where to place my leg on the fly, those fast twitch muscle fibers was really important for me. One of the things that has been really lingering and nagging me is getting full flexion again. So being able to bend the leg all of the way to where I'm sitting on my heels. And so I spend a lot of time working on that. I spend a lot of time trying to sit on my heels in different positions where I can de-weight it and allow my body weight to slowly sink in. And I'm pretty darn close, it's almost I can get my butt to my heels. But getting that full flexion will be important for me, and flexibility there generally. And then single leg deep squatting again will be something. So I can squat deep on both legs again, but with that limited flexion and all of the other trauma this joint has received, doing a pistol squat is certainly something I'm not able to do on that side yet, and I hope to achieve once I'm back to full strength. The flexion goal in terms of getting full flexion, I want to do that like in this month right now, right? Like I am pretty much there. I've been really working on it, and hopefully just through spending some more time sitting in that position, almost meditating, right, I'll be able to get full flexion again and punch past that little bit of scar tissue. What's nagging me right now is I took a little bit of my IT band to help stabilize my ACL, and that's actually the final thing that's pulling. So when my leg is almost scrunched together, the IT band is actually shorter than it used to be. So I am pulling that thing out, right? I'm making it a little bit longer. And so that's what I'm waiting on right now, but I believe I can definitely achieve that goal before I'm back to sport here in January.
Anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, definitely. An ACL injury is a really complex one, and it can take a really harsh mental and physical toll on people, definitely due to the length of recovery. And I found for me that community was absolutely the most important thing to having a healthy lifestyle after injury. Because for me as a mountain sports enthusiast, most of my community is in mountain sports, right? So all of my friends are still going to ride. Every trip I get invited on, all the different things, right? Like my whole community is still out there in action, and now I just totally on pause, right? I'm sitting at home not able to do anything, and that can be a really harsh transition for a lot of folks, and it certainly was for me. I found I was really lucky to have a bunch of friends and family members who were willing to slow down with me, right? Who were willing to, okay, well, we can't go do all the rad stuff, but we're gonna go fishing today because I can sit on the side of the reservoir, right? Like, we're gonna go for this really mellow hike and just enjoy the fall colors, etc. Like finding people and that can help you do the things you're still able to do was really, really important for me, and having that community here and to come back to as well was the most pivotal.
Alright, Matt. Thanks for answering some questions for us.
Yeah, of course, man. Stoked to be here. Thanks, y'all.